You guys, welcome back to the channel. Hey, hello, my name is Angela and I'm a lawyer, not your lawyer. And on this channel, we simplify legal concepts, explore intriguing cases, and uncover the law's influence on both business and life. Now today, we're getting into how the FTC is coming for some of your favorite creators. Let's get into it. So over the last few years, the influencer industry has been booming, right? Companies have realized that they can get relatively cheap marketing of their products by working with influencers, right? So influencers are essentially the new advertisers. They're the new marketers. With that being said, regulators like the FTC are tightening up and scrutinizing these influencers. Influencers who are promoting products online can be held personally liable for things that they post. And I'm not just talking about a slap on the wrist or the brand getting in trouble. I'm talking about the individual influencer. They can face lawsuits, fines, and penalties. You guys may recall when Kim Kardashian was fined $1.26 million by the SEC for promoting a cryptocurrency token without disclosing that she was actually hired to promote that token. Crackdowns on influencer marketing are continuing to be a hot topic in the industry. Popular brands such as Shein or Celsius have been sued for their deceptive practices as it relates to influencer marketing. Things recently escalated when Revolve, yes, Revolve, the mega popular fashion brand, was hit with a $50 million lawsuit. But get this, Revolve wasn't the only party named in that lawsuit. Individual influencers were sued as well. And the crux of the lawsuit is essentially surrounding not disclosing relationships with influencers and content creators that are promoting your product. We see this every single day, right? Where someone's totally obsessed with something or something so great, right? Most of us are hip to the social media game. It's always a question of, is this sponsored? If you look on a post and you don't see ad or sponsored somewhere, you're likely to just think that it's not sponsored and the influencer is giving their honest opinion. You know, things change when somebody's being paid to post something. And so this is where Revolve and the influencers involved in the lawsuit messed up big time. Now, as it relates to the influencers, they were essentially accused of deceptive practices for making misleading statements. So for the influencers out there, this isn't just about bad press or getting canceled or going viral. This is about legal action. It's getting real, y'all. So in today's video, we're gonna be talking a little bit about what influencers should know, the laws that apply to them, and real life scenarios where creators have faced the consequences of alleged deceptive practices. Before we jump into that though, if you are here and you're not new and you know me and you're used to me talking about the law school, lawyer life content where I give tips and tricks on how to succeed in law school, how to prepare to go to law school, all the pre-law advice, that has now moved over to the Patreon platform. I'll leave a link to the Patreon below. Y'all, I have been loving our community on Patreon. We get real unfiltered and raw. We encourage each other. It's really growing into something really great. And so I love it over there. If you guys are curious, again, I'll leave the link below for you to check out the Patreon and the different tiers we have over there. So just to give you a little preview on what you can expect on the Patreon, we do a weekly live stream where we discuss topics related to pre-law, law school, lawyer life, and it's sort of a back and forth dialogue, Q&A style, all the things. It's a really, really, really great community, y'all. We are really making strides over there. And again, I love it so much. And then there is one tier that includes direct one-on-one access with me where you get a quarterly meeting with me every single quarter. And so I know a lot of you guys have messaged me about booking time with me. If you are in the Patreon, you get a one-on-one meeting with me every single quarter to talk about whatever you want to talk about. So with that, check out the Patreon and let's get back to our favorite creators getting sued, y'all. Okay, so let's dive into the Revolve case a little bit more. So like I said, recently, the brand as well as the influencers that work with them were sued for alleged deceptive practices of promoting sort of limited time or only a few left type messages on Revolve fashion products that weren't actually true. Basically, the lawsuit sort of goes in to say that the practices were deceptive because they sort of mislead consumers into hurrying up and jumping to buy something with under the guise of that it might not be available if they wait. And so it creates a sense of false urgency. So here's the twist though. Like I said, they didn't just go after Revolve as the brand, which is what you would expect, what people would typically expect. They went after the individual influencers. These people are named as co-defendants in the lawsuit. And the reason for this is because under consumer protection law, if you make a deceptive claim and you profit from it, you can be held personally responsible. Revolve is known for basically supplying influencers with credits that amount to the ability to get free merchandise from them, payments, and all sorts of perks to get people to post and promote their product, right? And so with the influencers that were accused in the lawsuit, where they went wrong is they didn't disclose those relationships. So they do things like post in a Revolve outfit and just hashtag Revolve or tag Revolved without including that disclosure like, hey, I'm being paid or I'm being gifted to post this. I didn't buy this with my own money. The main plaintiff in the class action lawsuit against Revolve was essentially arguing like, hey, if I would have known that these were sponsored posts, I wouldn't have ran out and bought these things. This was very misleading for me. Another point in the Revolve lawsuit is like similar to the you better get it while it's out, or for a limited time or for X amount of discount, you can get this, when those same products and other platforms were actually much cheaper than what Revolve was selling them for. So those allegations on part of the influencer is where they went wrong. So think about this from the influencer's perspective, right? They were likely given a script or talking points to say these types of things like, only a few left, there's a limited time. They were presumably contracted and directed to do that, right? So even though that probably is what the contract said, they can still be held personally liable under consumer protection law. So that is super, super important for influencers to know. Essentially what this means is the influencer is not able to hide behind the brand of, I was hired to say this, they told me to say this. No, the influencers are deemed to be just as responsible and just as accountable if they're actively participating in the promotion of these alleged deceptive messages. So along those lines, how influencers can protect themselves is to follow the guidelines that the Federal Trade Commission has put out there for influencers. And there's actually a lot of literature surrounding this on the FTC website. They even have a brochure that influencers can use. It's sort of like a influencer marketing 101 type thing. And so I'll leave a link to it down below in case I have anybody who's just curious or any influencers who are watching this video. But it will sort of help you stay on track and make sure you are disclosing your paid post properly. And so we can sort of go into some of the things that they say. I'm going to pull it up here on my computer screen. So generally, the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, requires for influencer marketing or sponsored posts to make these disclosures as it relates to the fact that they're being hired to post about these products. If you're being paid or gifted or otherwise to post about a product or to share a product, you have to properly identify that, disclose that to your audience. And so I know you guys have probably seen where an influencer writes a long paragraph and then at the end it says ad, or ad is on the post, but it's very small. I don't think that's going to work anymore, right? With the FTC, they are cracking down and they're getting serious. It has to be clearly and prominently displayed on the ad, right? If you're using the ad hashtag, it can't be buried in a sea of ad hashtags. It can't be at the end. It really needs to be displayed like that. The first time somebody looks at the post, they can see it. They shouldn't have to scroll. They shouldn't have to swipe. They should be able to see ad or sponsored or something along those lines. And if you were thinking that this just relates to sort of still, Instagram posts or swipeable posts, think again. If it's a video, they have to actually say out loud that it is sponsored or it is an ad. Same thing if it's a podcast. The FTC says that influencers must verbally tell their audience, their listeners, that whatever they're speaking about is an ad and it's sponsored. Another thing that the FTC makes clear in their sort of influencer disclosures one-on-one is that you cannot make false claims, right? We sort of talked about this a little bit ago, but you cannot make false claims or even unsubstantiated claims. So for example, if I'm working with a brand and they send me a cream that's supposed to cure your eczema, I cannot go online and say, hey, this is so-and-so's cream and it cures eczema, check this out. Because you can't substantiate that. You don't know that. You haven't tried it. It didn't cure your eczema. You cannot speak to those things. And I think this is something that influencers really need to know, because you see this all the time. This is literally a game changer. This is literally this. And it's like, oh, really now? How is that, right? So for influencers out there, unless they can back it up, they really need to not say it when it comes to talking about a product and what it does or what it's supposed to do. So again, I will leave a link to the detailed brochure for those of you who are interested in looking at that, but that is really, really going to be a helpful guide for influencers out there to ensure they are compliant with consumer protection laws. Okay, so like we talked about, the influencers who got sued with the Revolve case, Kim Kardashian with the FTC enforcement case. You guys may have heard of Logan Paul, who was sued for his involvement with promoting another cryptocurrency. The cryptocurrency, turned out to be an alleged scam. I think investors are still trying to seek retribution on that. I think there's still some litigation going on with that. And then also, you guys will remember the infamous Fyre Festival promotions. I think Kendall Jenner was one of the celebrities, influencers who received backlash and was sued for promoting the Fyre Festival. And from my recollection, it wasn't necessarily about what went wrong with the Fyre Festival, but it was more so about her not disclosing the fact that she was paid to promote it. And so that's an important distinction. It's not so much about the effectiveness of the product, unless you're making claims about its efficacy, but it's more so about promoting a product that you're being paid to promote and not disclosing that, right? Because again, what do influencers do? They influence people to buy things. Influencers are the new marketers. Really, you're a marketing specialist. Really, you're a walking advertisement, right? So it's that sort of deception where, I say, hey, I love my new eczema cream, but really the only reason why I'm talking about it is because I was paid to talk about it. And as an influencer, that's your job, but you must disclose it. So again, as it relates to influencers directly, individually, this crackdown very much affects them, not just the big brands. That is a shift that we've been seeing and we're going to continue to see. The influencer can get fined, penalized, sued individually, not just the brands. Also, it can be bad for your reputation. If you do have these claims of deceptive practices, and we all know as an influencer, your reputation sort of precedes you, your name for yourself is really, really important for your brand. Now, as it relates to influencers' relationships and contracts with brands, these are likely already in many influencer contracts, but it's only going to get ratcheted up since this litigation is coming out. But influencers should watch out for contracts where brands shift all the legal burden on the influencer. Like I said, I think this is already in contracts. It's definitely been in contracts that I've seen. But essentially where the brand basically says, if the influencer doesn't make a disclosure or messes up the disclosure, they are responsible. The influencer is responsible. This is a big deal because the brand is the actual deep pocket. Now, I know there's a lot of influencers out there making good money, but they're in no way making the type of money that big brands such as Revolve, Target, all of those types of brands are bringing in, right? The companies are the deep pocket here. And so to shift a lot of that legal burden into the little person who most likely can't afford these long drawn out litigations and settlement discussions and all these things is pretty risky for the influencer. So the best thing that an influencer could do is to make sure that they are accurately and properly disclosing their sponsorships in compliance with the FTC's guidelines, as well as making sure they review their contracts with brands very carefully to make sure the burden isn't shifted to just them. So here's the bottom line. If you're an influencer or a content creator and you're making money by working with brands, you're not just a content creator. You're not just an influencer. You are a marketer. Okay? Marketers have legal obligations. With that being said, I know there's a lot of hesitancy to put too much sponsored or ad type things in your content because it sort of waters down the content. People are less likely to listen. And I think that's the whole point, right? And so people don't like disclosing it because it makes them seem very salesy or fakey, but that is what you're doing. So remember this, being compliant with consumer protection laws doesn't ruin your content. It protects you and it protects your business. If you're building a platform and you're monetizing your voice, that is amazing. That's a huge accomplishment, but it also comes with responsibility. Remember, the law isn't just focusing on brands anymore. They're focusing on you. They're focusing on the individuals who are promoting these brands' products. And with that, I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys go. I hope you found this video entertaining. If you have other sort of behind the legal headlines type of videos that you want me to talk about, drop a note in the comments and let me know. Also, for my future lawyers out there, don't forget to check out the Patreon for an unfiltered, supportive legal community. With that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.